All right. So who wants to read number 1?
What are we reading?
You want to just read the
ballot summary?
Yeah, the summary.
I'll read it.
Okay.
So Amendment 1 is partisan election of members of district school boards. The ballot summary is proposing amendments to the state constitution to require members of a district school board to be elected in a partisan election rather than a nonpartisan election, and to specify that the amendment only applies to elections held on or after the November 2026 general election. However, partisan primary elections may occur before the 2026 general election for purposes of nominating political party candidates to that office for placement on the 2026 general election ballot. So a yes vote on Amendment 1 would make school board elections partisan, so you have to disclose the party that you're running under. A no vote would keep school board elections nonpartisan.
All right. Thoughts?
Well, I'm curious on if so if it's a no, then it just stays
nonpartisan, like municipals.
Right, but then does that mean for like Palm Beach County it's still in August?
Yes, it would keep it in August. It has to so that they can have a runoff in November if they need it. That's why they're in August.
Yeah. But if Amendment 1 passes, then primaries would be held if necessary in August, and then the parties would square off on the general ballot.
So, like, for example, based off of this if this had already been passed and it applied in this cycle, we would have had, because there were 5 people running in District 5, so there would have been 3 on the Republican ballot and 2 on the Democrat ballot, and then whoever, which is essentially what's happening. We're essentially having like a runoff head-to-head of different worldviews.
But in the case of Broward, that was not the case. You had, I think, all but one district had 2 candidates, and they were from opposing sides of the aisle. So those would have gone directly to the November ballot, and theoretically more people would come out to vote.
Right. So that's like the plus and minus that so here's the thing. This is my thoughts. A lot of the things that are done in local government, even in state government, a lot of the things in state government are nonpartisan. There are very partisan things, obviously, in state government, but there are things like getting roads, appropriations for roads, or getting insurance fixed, or all these different things. There are several things that are kind of nonpartisan.
Yeah.
And the closer and lower you get, the more nonpartisan stuff is.
It should be.
Even county commission, a lot of the votes that they take are nonpartisan. If you look at the history of the voting of the county commissioners right now, there's 4 Republicans and 3 Democrats, and they vote they all mix it up. Like they vote with each other, against each other. They'll vote with each other on one vote and against each other on another vote, both sides. There's not a lot that makes it very, very partisan. There is more like, I want to say probably more conservative mindsets versus more like let's save money, let's not do this, versus the more like, let's fund all the programs. But overall, it's not. And same thing for school board, shouldn't be. But it's become so cuckoo bananas that I think we kind of need to.
Well,
right?
I think it doesn't. I think it allows them to be like under a cloak, it's like
they can kind of hide their true beliefs.
They can be way left, but talk way right to get our votes. And then when they get in there, then they destroy the school board. So I go back and forth on this. And my biggest thing is I just think everything should be partisan at this point. Just lay it out there. If you align with a party, great. If not, then be an NPA.
Yeah. You could run as an NPA, and then in theory, there could be 3 people on the ballot in November.
Correct.
Oh, so then that poses a question. If there's 3 people on the ballot in November,
they're going to have to do winner take all.
It'll have to be winner take all.
Winner take all.
Just like in any other race, if there was a third party on the ballot.
I'm torn about for municipal elections, like they're kitchen table issues. And people always ask, regardless, when you knock on someone's door, well, are you a Republican or a Democrat? And well, I'm not really supposed to say, but I am a precinct committee woman for the Republican Party of Broward County. Everybody knows
I'm the treasurer.
If you want to know.
So, I'm torn because, looking back at the August primary, everybody knew who the Republicans running for school board were.
Yeah.
Everybody knew that the union was working vehemently against all of them. And I don't know if making them partisan really makes a difference until we break up the monolith that is the Broward Teachers Union.
Well, all teachers unions, really. I agree.
Well, I think it helps the voters more than anything to stay non-committal to like educating themselves, because it just makes them easier to vote. If they're a Republican, they're just gonna see, like, oh, who's the Republican, and
Do you think that people who are more incognito in the school board races, who are Republican and more Democrat heavy areas, it will out them so that now they'll never? I mean, it's not really happening because we're not getting Republicans elected anyway. So I don't know. That was a lot of roses I had. But
So Jack from Boca says, if the school board races were partisan, I think that the district in Western Palm Beach County probably would have flipped in 22. I don't know which district that.
Maybe one?
No, one is on the ballot now, isn't it? Which district is it, Jack?
He said the candidate's name lost to Marcia Andrews at the same time that Sarah Baxter and DeSantis and Rubio won.
Silvestri.
And
So the Moms for Liberty, or
the lady. No, Angelique ran in a different district.
Oh, okay.
He's talking about district. I know which district he's talking about. You're right.
6.
District 6. Thank you, Stu. Yeah, District 6. Yeah, because that went into a runoff between not Silvestri, the other.
So she lost in the primary.
Silvestri lost in the primary. It went to a runoff between one of the other moms from the same group.
Okay.
Why'd
they run against each other?
Why does anybody run against each other?
I mean, I don't know. Our last guest on the show.
Yeah, I don't know how to. That would take a psychologist degree to answer that one. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But they went to a runoff. In Los Angeles. Yes, that's a good point. So, I mean, we're not. I think the whole point of this is we're really not going to tell you how to vote. We're really just give you the information and take our conversation and meandering thought processes to your consideration.
Yeah, and just for those, if you're wondering, the RPOF, the Florida Republican Party, is saying to vote yes on Amendment 1. So
we always agree with what the
no, we don't. We don't. I'm just saying for reference and information, because it does have to go through committee and they do have to talk about it in order to get their recommendations out there. So
I
mean, it's not like they're doing it,
willy-nilly
pulling, yes
numbers
or no's
out of a hat.
hat.
Oh, that's a visual. Like a bingo thing.
So
these
have been discussed. They should have went through committee in order to get their approved language to be able to go out on all of these amendments. So those that are curious.
Yeah. All right.
So
anybody else have any?
Jennifer Showalter was that?
Showalter.
I remember her.
I knew that was going to bug you.
She
for the rest of the night.
She came to locals for Liberty. I think
she might have. Yes.
I know we had a few of the candidates come through back in 22.
22 is off the chain.
No, that's most of the Amendment 1 comments. We've
got
all of them.
Yeah. So we should move on. Anybody? Do you guys have any more? Anyone else?
I think
no. All right.